Hey YouTube, I'm coming to do the how did you meet your husband tag. I know you guys probably have already seen my husband tag where I had my husband in the video. We just celebrated our 11-year anniversary on March 25th, so he agreed to come and do the husband tag and answer all these questions. So I saw the how did you meet your husband tag, and I thought I would go ahead and make the video because that was the first question I think that was the first question on the husband tag, was where did you all meet? And he didn't expound on it. He just said we met at work. So I figured I'd come and go ahead and do this video and expound on what all happened. Basically, I was at work. I had just started working at this job maybe like in January of '98. I started working at the hospital, local hospital, and I think maybe like a month or so after I started working there was a guy who was a photographer, and he would take pictures of people that worked at the hospital or whatever. He was trying to build a portfolio. So when I met him, he was saying, you know, I'm a photographer, you should let me take your picture, blah 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 blah. So I said, okay, cool. You know, I'm not really into taking pictures or whatever, but I said, okay, cool. So so he did. We met up, and he did my pictures or whatever. They turned out really, really nice. So he was like, do you mind if I put these in my portfolio? I said no, and that was fine with me. So anyways, months went by. It had been about April, May. I was leaving work early. I wasn't feeling well. I was just not in a good mood. I had just broken up with the guy I was dating, and I was in a pissy mood. So it was slow that evening because I worked 3 to 11 shift, and it was slow. So I just went ahead and went home. They were like, girl, just go home. You just don't look like you're in the mood. So I was leaving out to go home, all just, you know, in a funk, and I went down this back hall. I normally don't go down because I was thinking it was like an employee hall. So I'm thinking if I go to this hall, I probably won't run into anybody. So as I'm walking down the hall, I see this guy at the end of the hall standing waiting for the elevator. And I was like, crap, you know, hopefully he won't say nothing. Maybe if I don't look at him, you know, don't give him any eye contact or whatever, he won't say anything. So I get to the end of the hall, and there's a stairwell right there, and I was going to just take the stairs up to the second floor, which had a walkover to the parking garage. And he was like, excuse me, do you work here? And I went to turn around, and I saw my husband, and he was really cute. And I was like, instantly just felt great. And I was like, yeah, I work here, you know. And he was, you know, he said, well, cause you look familiar. You look like I've seen you somewhere before, but I don't know if it's from here or somewhere else. So I said, well, you know, I don't think I've ever met you. So he asked me where did I work, and I told him where I worked, and he told me where he worked. I was like, where do you work? And so then he was like, okay, well, you know, you leave, go home. I said, yeah. He said, well, you know, have a good night or whatever. And so then he said, well, what's your name? So I said, Jonna. So he was like, I said, well, what's your name? And he was like, Jonathan. And I was like, Jonathan. He was like, that's interesting. I said, yeah. I said, okay. I said, I said something like, he trying to have a name like mine or something. And I was like, for real, you trying to have a name like mine? He's like, no, it's John for real. Showed me his badge or whatever. So I said, okay, well, I'll see you around, whatever. So, I went up the stairs, and on the way to the parking garage, there's a telephone. So I called the girls that I was working with. I was like, I just met this really cute guy. Guess what? His name is Jonathan. Like Jonna and Jonathan. They were like, oh, that is so cute. They were like, we thought you were feeling bad. I was like, well, I feel much better now. So anyway, a couple weeks went by. Didn't see him anymore. And then I ran into him again in the hall. And he was like, Jana? And I was like, no. And he was like, no, I'm just playing, John. I remember. I was like, well, you know, whatever. So we talked a little bit. And then he just proceeded to harass me after that, pretty much. And one night he would come down to my department, and he would buy everybody dinner, you know, and just come and sit with all of us and, you know, just kick it or whatever. And so I'm thinking, you know, I'm kind of like him. He's real nice or whatever. And a lot of other people started coming and asking me, what, you know, was I dating him or whatever. And these are actually other guys that I work with, and they were like, you know, I heard John be coming out here to see you, you know. I said, well, you know, she's cool or whatever. And they were like, you know, he's a really nice guy, you know, he's a good catch or whatever. So, you know, I say he's cool, you can date him, you can talk to him. It's okay. Older guys were saying it, so I was like, okay, he's a nice dude. So then the guy who took my photograph, he came down and he said, do you know a guy named Jonathan? I said, yeah, you know, I just met him. And he was like, well, I hear he's trying to talk to you. I said, well, you know, he's come down here. I met him, whatever, he comes in here. And the guy was like, yeah, well, I had showed him my portfolio because John and this guy worked in the same department. I didn't know that, but this guy, evidently, he traveled around to different departments, and so to do his job, but his home department was the same as my husband's. So he was like, yeah, you know, John was looking through my portfolio and he came to your picture, and he was like, who is this? And, you know, the guy was like, why you want to know? Why you want to know? And he was like, man, I want to, who is this? This chick is hot. You know, who is this? She's gorgeous or whatever. And he was like, I'm not telling you. He's like, does she work here? And because everybody pretty much that was in the portfolio was people that worked at the hospital that he knew. So he was like, does she work here? And so he was like, yeah, she work here, man. You know, you can't talk to her, man. That's like, she's like my little sister. Because me and the photographer, we was like really cool. She was like, that's my little sister. You can't talk to her. He was like, whatever. He was like, if I see her, I'm going to holler at her or whatever. So the guy was like, whatever. So he said, well, so, you know, he really likes you or whatever. So I was like, oh, okay. So this is where the whole comment of, do I know you? You look familiar. So I asked my husband about it later on, and he was like, well, yeah, I remember seeing your picture. He said, when I saw you in the hall, you look different than the picture, but you look like the same person, but not exactly like the picture. I think I maybe had changed my hairstyle or something. In the pictures, my hair was straight, and I think that day we met, it was like in curls or whatever. So, like Rod said or whatever. So he was like, I looked like familiar, but he wasn't sure. So anyway, that's how we kind of met, and you know, now we married. And the funny thing is that same photographer, he took our engagement pictures and he took our wedding pictures. So and him and his wife were like our witnesses when we got married, because it was just me and my husband and my stepdaughter, and at the wedding. And then him and his wife came, and he took the pictures, and they signed as our witnesses on the marriage license. So that was kind of cool. Then we went on a cruise for our honeymoon, and guess who we run into on the cruise? The photographer and his wife. They were going on the same cruise. It was just crazy. So anyway, that's my story.